I'm Sabrina and welcome to my channel where we explore the various sides of fashion, style, and travel that aren't commonly highlighted. My goal is to make fashion more diverse, accessible, and playful. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a notification for new videos. Talk to you soon.
All right, Adam, so take us back 100 years ago when the business was started. You weren't born yet, right?
I was not.
Okay.
So the company was started back in 1916 by my great-great-uncles, Morris and Sam Schmalberg.
Mm-hmm.
When they started the company, there was a whole thriving garment center. Really everything was made here in America and here in New York City.
What was their inspiration for starting the company?
I've gotten a lot of variations of that question, and the truth is I don't know. What I do know is that if you wanted to start a business, if you wanted to make money, the garment center was a good place to do it. There was 10, 15, maybe 20 other factories doing just this, making flowers. And then, of course, the zipper guys, the button guys, and all the other people making trims. So they started the business, and again, I'm thrown off with that. So they started the business.
There was my curveball.
That wasn't even a curveball.
Yeah.
Oh, she got me.
What was their inspiration?
So they started the business, and they probably started with just a few of the flower tools that you guys saw, and little by little added to the inventory. A little of the history of the company. My grandfather Harold was a Holocaust survivor, and he was in Poland when the war broke out. He had his mother, his father, 2 brothers, and a sister who were all killed in the war. Terrible story. I think of my bad days, and I compare it to what he went through.
Perspective.
And after the war, he went back to. I've heard stories from my dad that he went back to his house. There were people living there. You know, I'm thinking about that. And somehow he befriended. He didn't speak English, and somehow he befriended an American soldier who helped him get in contact with the Schmalbergs here in New York. Morris and Sam Schmalberg they're my great-great-uncles.
Right.
They were his uncles. The Schmalberg name is from his mother's side, which is why my last name is Brand.
Okay.
So he came over on the boat, went through Ellis Island, you know, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he lived in one of their attics, I'm not sure which one. And, you know, he didn't exactly have anything going on. So what is he going to do? He came to business, and he took to it slowly. And my grandfather is a Holocaust survivor. My grandfather's a survivor in every sense of the word. And my dad has likened us to survivors in our own way as well. And we've definitely taken on a lot of that. Over the years, flowers would be in style sometimes, other times they wouldn't be. My grandfather would do things like we had a fabric store on 35th Street for a while. At one point he was selling Christmas wreaths. He was selling Arnold Palmer shirts. Anything just to keep the lights on until the next fashion trend would hit with flowers. And then we would crank it out as best as we
Pick
can.
back up, yeah.
And the family heritage, the rest of it is just history. You know, eventually my grandparents met Harold and Renee Brand. They had my Aunt Deborah and my dad Warren, who were the owners of the company for my whole life until my aunt passed away a few months ago, sadly.
Sorry to hear, yeah.
And little by little, or maybe really fast, companies started outsourcing. And it went from being where everything was made here in New York City and everything was made in America to now where nothing is. And this industry, just flower making, there used to be a bunch of competitors, and little by little there's nobody left. It's just us. It makes our business unique. It makes you want to come here and learn about it.
Absolutely.
But it's also really a sad testament of what's become of all of American manufacturing, that nothing's made here anymore.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle even for us as the last survivor to still be doing what we're doing. But we like to believe that we are the survivors. And,
You are.
And we've stayed here this long.
Yep.
And we tuck in our wings when it's not busy. And the benefits that I've had as time has progressed is that in the old days, it was either flowers are in style or they're not. Now, yes, there's a lot of offshore production we have to compete with. But we also have a lot of different advantages, like you've probably heard of the internet.
Actually, school me on that.
So the internet is a giant network of computers. It was invented by Al Gore. And
right, that guy.
it was a giant network of computers, and they're all interconnected so that my computer that you saw in the office can actually communicate with somebody all the way across the world. Did you get that?
The World Wide Web, y'all.
www. So, while we don't have all that domestic production anymore, we still
Yeah.
have an incredible resource in the internet and getting our name out there. So we get a lot of people that will find us online and buy flowers for their wedding. We do custom bridal bouquets. We sell on Amazon. We sell on Etsy. We have a great website now. Social media has been huge for us.
I was going to ask about social specifically.
We're on Facebook and Instagram at Custom Fabric Flowers, and I'm always posting pictures of new things that we do. And these have become incredible resources for us. When I first started here with my dad 12 years ago, we didn't get any of these one-offs, and now, without really looking into the numbers, I'd say maybe 10-15% of our business is just every day somebody new. Today I
Yeah.
walked in and we shipped 5 different boxes to different Etsy people.
Yeah.
People that found us online and just wanted a couple flowers
Sure.
for whatever their purpose.
Sure. So essentially there have been sort of challenges on one hand in regards to offshoring, in regards to, I'm sure, gentrification.
I'm out. What's up? Okay, so yeah, he like came in and then moved
Yeah.
back. I thought maybe I had to use the bathroom or something.
We're rolling?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Okay, so there have been challenges to the business in regards to, you mentioned offshoring, in regards to gentrification, I'm sure, which is driving prices up,
Sure.
and like you said, sort of driving out maybe partners who used to be based here in the garment district, etc. But there have been opportunities as well in
Yeah.
the digital space, social media, which then provides the world access to your business, which
Absolutely.
wasn't there necessarily before. Where do you see your business headed?
So the first question, as far as gentrification and just the changing of the whole garment center, there was talks of rezoning the garment center to somewhere in Brooklyn.
Really?
Sunset Park. I don't really know the area, but there was.
Kind of far out.
It's far. A lot of our employees come from the Bronx and from Jersey. That's a whole other avenue, like
It
the
is.
commuting.
It is.
And this is really where it's at. We get a lot of theater designers and different couture designers that are still here in the city, and we're in prime location. We're in Midtown. This is where we should be.
Yeah.
But
And this is part of your story and your legacy.
For sure.
Being in the garment district. This
We've
is
always been in the
exactly
garment
what
center.
the purpose of this area is. Yeah.
Exactly. You take like Hudson Yards, which is on the west side, and the development of that whole area made a lot of rents skyrocket. This is a garment center building that we're in. It's zoned garment center, and what that used to mean is that a certain percentage of companies in there need to be garment center manufacturers, and the truth is they just aren't. When I started here, there was more embroidery companies, people doing trims. Now half the building is a construction company.
Yeah.
Not that they don't have a right to make a living, but it's just sad to see what's happened to this garment center that we're in. So it's certainly changed things as far as who's around here and as far as the rents that we have to pay.
Yeah.
There are so many new avenues open to us. Every morning on the weekends I wake up, I have coffee, and I just play around on my computer and look at different angles and avenues and things to help get us out there. Where do I see us in a bunch of years?
Yeah.
The truth is, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I could see. I'm gonna think about it.
Where do you think the fashion industry as a whole is headed? I feel like right now, there's just it's really been shaken up.
Fashion as a whole is cyclical.
Yeah.
Things come into style where sometimes they want big flowers and statement pieces, and then it goes back to being very simple, where you don't really want anything on the dress. But the beauty of where we're at now is that we don't just do fashion.
Sure.
We have a prospective, very large order that has nothing to do with fashion at all right now for a window display company. We made 5,000 flowers once for the Radio City Rockettes. Costume designs. We're always doing flowers for Disney, for Rapunzel, for Princess Tiana, for Ariel, Little Mermaid. So we have all these other angles that we can latch onto when fashion isn't quite there.
So more diversification in
Absolutely.
your industries, in your markets, in your regions.
We
as
have
you touched
to.
on
We
before.
have to.
Yeah.
The truth is, as far as fashion itself, there was a big outsourcing where everything went to China and other countries. I do believe that there is a movement on some level to bring some of that back.
Yeah, especially after what's going on present day with
M&S Schmalberg flowers, coronavirus free for 104 years.
But it's true. I actually read an article about
I did an
this.
interview once where I said something silly like that and they kept it. So I don't need the government attacking me.
Well, but I read an article, I don't remember in which publication, a very credible one, only yesterday, saying that what the epidemic that is going on now is probably going to play a big part in manufacturing going to other regions of the world, and Mexico perhaps being a huge beneficiary.
It shows the vulnerability of having all manufacturing in just one place, for sure. This is something that
in
we're
New York
aware
State.
of and has affected us dramatically, but it's nothing we really invested time or energy into. We won. Martha Stewart has this American-made ceremony that she does every year. I'm not sure if she still does it, and we were an honoree of Martha Stewart American Made in 2016, and we got to meet her and go to this whole event at her headquarters. And my father gave a speech or presentation, and its closing line, which I may or may not have helped him prepare, was that a lot of people are talking about that they're bringing production back to U.S., back to New York, and I'm proud to say we never left.
New York City institution.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that it sounds like you do, and rightfully so, take a lot of pride in being an heir to a family-owned business 4 generations in now.
That's right.
And like you said, being a part of the fabric, no pun intended, of New York City, the garment district, of the fashion industry, and other really key industries that drive the economy and the story here, and now across the world.
For sure.
So I'd like to know, how does that, do you feel that day in and day out, that you're part of that heritage? Because that's a really cool story.
So I mentioned before, you grow up and your family, your parents do whatever they do. Electrician, plumber, doctor, nurse. My dad was the flower man. It never really occurred to me that he was the only flower man and that there were no other flower men. So I sort of took this business for granted. I remember, whatever, we were 80, 90 years old, and they provided for us. I went to school. I had everything I needed, and that's all I really thought about it. And as I got older, I had a lot of fun as I got older, and I went to college and did my thing, and I, again, just didn't really, I never thought I'd end up here. Not in a bad way or a good way, I just didn't think that this is where I would end up. And I came in, like I said, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and just started, I wasn't even getting paid. I asked my dad to just pay for my train ticket. And I started coming in, and right away I saw potential in just the internet, as far as getting our name out there and letting people know about us.
Was that on your dad's mind at all, using the internet?
He was aware. We had a website, but it was pretty weak as far as what it is now. Social medias were really just coming into existence. Instagram didn't exist at all, and Facebook was at its very early infancy stages. And little by little, I just started seeing this place through other people's eyes. Every day, now that I've been here for so long, I see people that will come up here and will tell me that they've been either following us on social media for years, or that they've heard about us for years. People from like Australia that have been wanting to come here for 20 years, and now they're here for the first time. And you watch their faces when they walk into the showroom with all the bright colors.
They light up.
And you can only watch that so many times before you realize, like, hey, we're doing something pretty cool here. I'm proud of it and I love it, but I certainly don't take all the credit for it.
Sure.
My grandfather and my dad, it was their work ethic that kept this place going when competitors didn't necessarily keep going. And our staff, most of which have been here for years, are incredible as far as helping to keep the business going no matter what's going on. When my aunt passed away, there was a couple days my dad and I weren't here, and the place goes on. People, everyone knows what they need to do. My dad's been in Florida for a few weeks, so I don't know if you should even mention it. After my aunt passed away, my dad had the life is short mentality, and
Hey, yeah.
and he bought a little place in Florida, and he's been down there for a month and a half, and the place keeps going, and it's not because I'm keeping it going. I certainly work as hard as I can, but we have a great team. Schmalberg is more than just me, and it's more than just the brand family. It's everybody here.
And everyone here has been very awesome.
Thanks.
So thank you for the hospitality.
You're very welcome.
So you touched on some key factors that contribute to you all's success and you all's long-standing history being in business and being here in the garment district. Talk a little bit about your relationships with brands and like really iconic figures. We talked about Oscar de la Renta and Vera Wang and Ralph Lauren, and how do those relationships come about?
So the funny thing is you get, my dad and I went to J. Crew, at this point it might have been 10 years ago. And I remember we're in a room, like a long table with maybe 8 to 10 of their designers. And the thought occurred to me that J. Crew, this place was huge. And we could have been there at this table of people trying to sell them our flowers, show them what we do. And there could have been people in the next booth over desperately looking for flowers for their new accessories. So these big companies are so hard to break in with because there's so many different departments and branches and whatnot. I'm always reaching out to new people, either by social media, by email, or by phone, just to introduce them. But nothing seems to replace the word of mouth and just people who know us.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate to work with Marc Jacobs the past few seasons on their runway designs. And I would say we, but really they created some over-the-top amazing things using our work. And it's all about this relationship because they know they come here, they can pull through, they can look through our stocking to look at different inspiration ideas. They can bring in their fabrics. Marc Jacobs in particular, everything when it comes to a fashion week in runway is a rush.
And that's true.
So they came up here, I think it was a Thursday morning, that they had a project that they needed done, and it had about 5,000 single layer flowers, and they wanted us to work over the weekend. But I got a puppy, I got a wife. Wait.
I love that you led with the puppy.
I have a wife, I have a puppy, and I want to be home over the weekend.
So we're not cutting that.
She knows. She knows where we stand. I love my pup. I love my wife.
I love mine too. I don't have a wife. I love my pup.
My wife Barry and my puppy Noodles.
Oh, hi Noodles.
Oh, come on, very unprofessional.
Blooper reel.
Yeah. So they wanted us to work over the weekend.
Yeah.
And in the end, we didn't need to, because we produce here, we can do things really fast, and because we have a relationship with them, we make it happen. And we have a lot of designers like that. I mentioned before the girl from Vera Wang who wanted to make a parrot tulip. If it was anyone else, I would have looked up the picture, I would have sent her a couple of photographs, and we would have tried our best. Because she knows what we're about and she's worked with us before, she came up here and she made herself at home, and she looked through these boxes and she found different things, and she created something that was really her creation. I wouldn't sell it to anyone else because it's her flower. It uses tools that have been in the family forever, but this combination is her design.
Yeah, that's really customer service at its finest. Again, it goes back to the hospitality of welcoming people in and allowing them the openness and the freedom and the flexibility to create, to design, and you're just not just supporting them, you're supporting them along the way to see that vision come to reality.
That's the new world that we're in. This garment center to garment center, business to business, I'll take 50,000 of that. A lot of that's over. We get people every day that will come here for the first time, and it may be a one-off. It may be they just want a flower, they're working on their wedding, or I'm a designer but I'm going to only order 10 pieces at a time, and we welcome all that. And you talk about the future of the business, I think that's going to go a long way to us staying in business. These smaller specialty projects, because that's stuff that they just simply can't do offshore.
Yeah.
You can't have 3 flowers custom made for you.
No. One more question along the lines of business. Sustainability is a huge topic. Well, just in general, but as it relates to anything touching sort of fabrication or what have you. Is that a big part of your business in terms of how you work with your suppliers, or how you see your business evolving, being more sustainable? And if so, what does that mean for you?
So sustainable as a general rule is very important to me because we only have one planet to live on.
Yeah.
So doing the best we can to make this place as nice as possible is probably a good thing for everyone. As far as our general process, not much has changed, but not much is needed to change. People bring us fabric, I'll cut whatever I can out of it. If there's anything left, I'll cut more. I'll save it, I'll give it back to them. We try not to blatantly throw anything out. We work with a company, Material for the Arts, and we actually work with another company, Housing Works, who we donate stuff to. And in the case of Material for the Arts, they come up here once a year with like a dumpster, and we'll just give them all the extra fabric scraps and things. And if I cut you 100 flowers, the cutouts are designed in and of themselves. So somebody else might want to make a dress out of that. So there's always a use for everything that we do.
Love it. I'm with that. You know, well, unfortunately, I don't think everyone is that diligent in terms of thinking about their business from a sustainable perspective, which is, I guess, why it's such a big topic now. So it's good that you are already managing your business that way.
Before sustainability was even a thing, it was just the natural order of how we do things. In a sense, we're working with, if I have a big production order, obviously I get a roll of yardage. But if you wanted to bring me some, like your grandmother's dress or something, it's a piece of fabric that you probably weren't going to use anyway. When we work with designers, quite often they'll send us material that they might have just thrown out, and now we take it and we make it into a flower.
Like recycling.
In its own sense.
We
had a project once with this guy who, that was his prime focus, and he brought us, you know, in your closet you have the plastic bags from like Fairway or the supermarket, and you have 1,000 of them. So he brought us those, you know, garbage. He brought us his garbage, and we cut flowers out of it, and you couldn't emboss it because the heat would make it melt. But we cut hundreds of petals, and he made a dress out of this.
No way.
He brought us umbrellas, broken umbrellas, and we took the canvas, I guess it is, or nylon, whatever material that is, and we, same thing, cut flower petals out of it.
Super neat.
Again, these are things that literally are garbage.
Yeah.
That we were able to make something out of.
Okay, so that's actually a good segue to the super fun segment of our chat. And all of it's been fun, by the way.
Yeah, but now it's going to get super fun.
It's going to get super duper fun. Fun projects.
So, any project that has some sort of sentimentality is always fun to me.
Yeah.
I like rushing. I wouldn't tell our clients that because they like to make us rush. But we had a project once that involved making, I can't get into too much detail, but it involved making about 5,000 flowers from men's underwear. New, unused
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
And it needed to be done very fast. I would have quoted a few weeks, but it needs to be done really fast, and or there's no order. And we got it done. People stayed a little late, and it's fun because that's when this place is alive and it's moving, and we're all working together as a team. And we got it done. And you think about working with yardage of fabric. You could fold it perfectly. You can make a square where you can cut a few pieces at a time. It's efficient. If you're working with something like underwear or undershirts or any weird shaped garment like that, it's hard to efficiently, not just efficient as far as wasting fabric, but as far as getting timing, getting it done as quickly as possible. But we did it. And to me, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
It's unique and it's an interesting challenge, sort of.
For sure. For sure.
So, fun clients, when they walk through the door, they hit you up on email or you get an order and you're like, okay, I really like working with them.
So there are some people that, I'm going to be a little insulting now, there's some people that went into fashion and go into fashion, but they're really not good at it. And they come here and you could see that they just don't know what they want to do and what's going on. And then there's some people like the Vera Wang designer. We worked with a designer once from Oscar who pulled a bunch of different things. We had him put them together, and I just love watching the wheels in motion in these people's heads. Because some of these people are they're born for it. Everyone's born for a thing.
Yeah.
Some people have that fashion sense.
Yeah.
We work with Tom Brown, a very eccentric designer, I would say.
Is he from London or the UK?
I would say yes, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
Eccentric's a good thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's eccentric. And he creates these like amazing things that you would just never think of. There's a picture in the hallway walking in here of a dress that just has candy bars on it and pastries. And anytime, first of all, his employees are all in like a uniform, so to speak, that you could tell it they're his people. And anytime they come up, it's always something unique. We did something for the Radio City Rockettes. You haven't asked me, but if you asked me if our flowers were waterproof, I would tell you not really.
Yeah.
So this was for a project that was called Singing in the Rain. If you go on YouTube and search for Rockettes Singing in the Rain, you can find it.
Okay.
And as the name would suggest, they sang and danced in the rain. It rained on stage, and they would have multiple shows a day, and these flowers needed to be able to get wet, and they needed to be able to get wet a lot. So what do? So the end result, without going through all the detail, is we had the fabric, we would cut it into strips, we would starch it here to give it extra body.
Then you waterproof them.
And then we brought it to a laundromat that did this waterproofing process. So this way it had the body it needed. The waterproofing would hopefully seal that in, and then we did what we did. And we didn't get any complaints. And then this is how it works. We get these amazing idea projects and we figure out a way to make it work.
To make it work.
That's what you gotta do.
Yeah. Okay, last fun question. You mentioned before that sometimes you don't always see where your designs end up, and you'll come across them on the internet. What's the most fun surprise that you saw?
So anytime we do anything that I suspect might have an interesting result, I'll make
How do you suspect that?
If it's for a magazine, that's a big telltale sign. Sometimes we'll work with a designer. We did something once for Ralph Lauren that was for a mystery A-list celebrity. That's what we were told. And it ended up being one of the Jonas Brothers and Priyanka Chopra's wedding. We made flowers that ended up being...
Nick.
Sure. Big fan. We made a bunch of flowers that ended up being like used for the bouquets.
Cool.
So when the Ralph Lauren employee came up here, she was teasing us with the A-list celebrity thing, and then she just never circled back. So I just kept looking and looking. Ralph Lauren went, and I found it. And this is what I do. You saw a picture of Beyonce. I don't even remember who came in here. But anytime that there's any sort of, I just have an intuition for it as far as like this is probably going to be for something interesting. So, and as far as finding, what was the question?
Most fun surprise that you found on the internet from one of your pieces.
So, I don't know that these would be the most fun. I was watching, I like those Comedy Central roasts. So I was watching one once, and it was a Justin Bieber roast, and Martha Stewart was on it. And I'm just watching the thing, and suddenly I'm like, wait a second, and I pause it, because we live in the future, and I took a picture, and she was wearing this dress that had these little like embroidered leaves on them. And I took a picture, I sent it to my dad, and through a little detective work and just remembering, we were able to figure out that we made the leaves for this embroidery house that we deal with, who makes trims from Monique Lillier, who obviously made this dress, and somehow Martha's stylist got her into that dress. That was cool in itself. And then on top of that, when we were named a Martha Stewart American Made honoree just months later, it was one of those small world stories I was able to tell her about, which she really appreciated. We did... That's so just random.
Yeah.
We had...
And Comedy Central roast with Justin Bieber. Yeah.
Well, she's funny. She's got a great sense of humor.
Dry, yeah.
She's got a very dry, but she's got a good sense of humor. We did, before my time, we were doing flowers with this designer. I don't even know her real name, but everybody calls her Killer. I'm sure she's a sweetheart. And we made these lavender wings, and my dad was watching the Victoria's Secret runway show, and Candace Swainpool came out wearing basically nothing but these lavender wings. It's just another project where we had no idea where it was going to really turn into. Even the Met Gala a few months ago, Diane von Furstenberg's granddaughter, she would send her people in just to buy a lot of these little flowers that you see around here. You have no idea what it's going to go towards.
Yeah.
But I was told that it was for her granddaughter, and I was told it for the Met Gala. So I just kept searching, and I found suddenly pictures of just her decked out in all these flowers. We've had people from Madonna up here recently buying a bunch of red flowers that are for her most recent...
She's on tour, I think.
Exactly, her most recent tour.
Yeah.
I haven't found it yet. I'm not going to stop.
Well, apparently she's injured. And so I think she's taking a pause on a couple shows. So
So
stay
you go.
tuned.
There you have it.
They'll pop up eventually.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. See you on the next one.